It is no news that Ghanaians value funerals so much, or will I say Ghanaians value the dead so much. I feel they celebrate the dead even more than the living, and I think there is a notion to that. There is a reason to that. So before we start crucifying Ghanaians and before we start judging them, just like I used to do before, I used to wonder, why do Ghanaians value the dead so much? Why do Ghanaians celebrate funerals so much, even more than weddings and the likes? I've even come on this channel severally to talk about this, like, why do they do this? Because of how curious I have been about this issue, because it sounded a bit weird. Even if I understood the fact that it was their culture and it needed to be respected, I still wondered why. The first thing that came to my mind was, why this black, black, black? Why this black and red? I used to wonder why that combination and why they've attached so much meaning to those colors. I had to feed my curiosity by researching, asking questions, and based on all that I have gathered, I have come to talk about reasons why Ghanaians value funerals so much, and maybe a little bit of the colors and why they wear certain colors for different funeral occasions. So before you crucify Ghanaians, come, let's discuss this together. And if you are a Ghanaian, please watch this video to the end. Maybe there will be something I need to know more and people would need to know more. And if you are a foreigner, if you are not a Ghanaian and you want to understand the Ghanaian culture, then this video is for you. Hello guys, and welcome to BEFE'S space. If this is your first time of coming across my channel, you are highly welcome. My name is Kina BEFE. Let us dive straight into what we have to talk about today. As a foreigner that came into Ghana and realized that Ghanaians value funerals so much, I mean, it got to an extent where I see posters where they advertise mourners. I mean, these people may not be family members, they are not family members, but what they do is that they come to the funeral to cry. Ghanaians, let me know in the comment section, why do you hire mourners? Why do some people hire mourners?
Some people don't know how to cry. Some people, when they lost their relatives, they don't know how to talk and cry. My name is Amido Clean. I'm a funeral contractor. People came in to pick me to go to their funeral and cry for them.
How would you even know if you go to a Ghanaian funeral and everybody's crying? How would you even know the people that were hired to be mourners? So I want to even understand why, Ghanaians hire mourners, because personally I haven't understood that yet. I guess someone will explain to me in the comment section. But yeah, it got me thinking, like, why do they attach so much value to funeral? I am someone that is open-minded. I really want to learn. I really want to know. I want to understand from their point of view, from the perception, why that is. Don't get me wrong. I am not saying that in my country or in my culture we don't value funeral. In fact, we run funeral for days. Funerals don't just happen just Saturday and Friday. We run funeral. We can run funeral for like a week, a full week. I mean, it's that serious. And yes, we spend money on funeral, but maybe we celebrate weddings and child dedications more than we do for funerals. So yeah. And I've also said before that where I come from, maybe the people that will be obligated to wear white and black, or just white or just black, depending on the situation, or just red, I don't know of red, but maybe black especially, or white, are the people, I mean the family of the deceased. And when I even mean the family, I mean the immediate family. Let's say a husband dies, it is the wife and the children that are obligated to wear a certain color for a period of time, and other family members can go on with their normal outfits even on the day of the funeral. Other people, sympathizers and other extended family are not obligated to wear black or red or white unless it is stated that that is the dress code. Then you can wear. In fact, there are people that even wear ashwebi. When I mean ashwebi, like they choose different colors, different cloths with different color. They can even decide to go for pink, they can decide to go for blue, any color that suits them. They can choose that cloth as their funeral dress. Let's take the instance of when Wizkid lost his mom and he was doing the funeral. If you watch that funeral, you will hardly dictate that that's a funeral, because you don't obviously see people wearing red and black or black. Like, do you get it?
There is a green hill far away.
But I don't think there is any funeral that will happen in Ghana that you will not obviously tell that this is a funeral. Another thing that got me thinking was like, where I'm coming from, I'm used to Saturdays are for weddings. But over here in Ghana, it's obvious that Saturdays are for funerals. So now that you know that Ghanaians value funerals so much, let's talk about the reason or the reasons why Ghanaians value funeral. Based on my research and based on asking questions, making inquiries, being inquisitive, I've got to realize that Ghanaians believe that those that are dead, their loved ones that are dead and gone, protect them in the spiritual realm. So they give them a certain kind of value. Do you understand? I mean, they feel like when a loved one passes on, the loved one do not totally depart from them. The loved one is always around them, protecting them. So that's one of the reasons why they value funerals so much. So I want to know, Ghanaians watching this video, is it a particular culture, or will I say a particular tribe that believes on that, or it is general in Ghana that you guys believe that your loved ones that have passed have a way of protecting the living in the spiritual realm? Let us know in the comment section, because I believe culture would differ, beliefs would differ, even if it is one country. Another thing I got to research was that the reason why they value funerals so much is because it is the last respect that is being given to the dead. I mean, you're not going to see this person anymore, so that's the last time you're going to be seeing that person physically. All what you will just have of the person will all be memories. So that last respect should be given to the person in high esteem. I can say that there's hardly an average funeral in Ghana. Most Ghanaian funerals are on the high level. I mean, they rent halls, they rent fields just for funerals. Ghanaians can go as far as borrowing money to bury a loved one. I mean, they'll want to give that loved one the befitting burial, like what the tag to be called a befitting burial. It's a way they use in bragging among themselves, like, our funeral made a lot of sense more than your funeral. Before I go, let me throw this here. There is something I heard. I think this should be a myth. I don't think this should be true. I think I should put it out here for Ghanaians to let me know in the comment section, because all of this news fly around, and if we don't get clarification, it will be a problem. Is it true that someone can actually go to the morgue to pick up someone that is not their family member just to bury the person? Is it true? Like, maybe, cases where people die out of accidents and then they are not able to get through to the family members, and that body has been in the morgue for a very, very long time, and then someone can randomly go and say, I want to bury, like, is it true? No. I don't believe that to be true, but that's what I heard. That's one of the things I heard when I came to Ghana. I have not been able to clarify that. And I don't want to say that's what Ghanaians do. So let me know if you've heard of something like that, or if this really happens, and if it does, why? I want to tell you how much Ghanaians value funerals. For families that have the resources, they don't mind mounting billboards announcing the demise of their loved ones. They go all out. All out. An average Ghanaian would prefer to spend so much money on funeral than to spend so much money on weddings. I have been privileged to attend some Ghanaian weddings, and I'm like, What's going on here? What is going on here? Don't you people celebrate good things? People are getting married and then you come without gifts. You need to give them something. But if it's a funeral, there's a table where you go give the family of the deceased, your gifts, maybe cash gifts or anything that you bring. I know they also do this in Nigeria. There is a table where you give gifts to the family of the deceased.
No.
But I don't see that energy when it comes to wedding, and that's what made me realize that no, Ghanaians value funerals more than weddings. In Nigeria, for instance, I remember growing up and then we are going for weddings. You'll be so ashamed to go for a wedding without wrapping something, carrying a gift. That's what shows that you're going for a wedding. You want to give gifts, right? Even if it's spoon, even if it's cup. So if you are having your wedding, the gift you will carry, the plastic bowls you will carry home, it is going to be too much. But in Ghana, I didn't really see that in the few weddings I attended. Yes, there are high profile weddings, of course. There are high profile weddings, but I mean the energy is not the same. Let's be realistic. We need to understand that when a loved one passes, just like I said earlier, you are never going to be seeing the person again. And that is the last respect that you're going to be giving to the person. So I understand where Ghanaians come from, in the sense that if you miss a loved one's funeral, if you miss the last opportunity to see someone, you are never ever going to see the person again. But if you miss maybe a wedding anniversary or a wedding celebration, you can always meet that loved one again. You can always go to their house and say, oh, I'm sorry, I was not able to come for your wedding, so I decided to come visit you at home. I decided to come give you this gift. This is my gift, this is my contribution. But for funerals, that is not the case. That is the last time you're going to meet that person. And so it is understandable if Ghanaians do not joke with funerals. Psychologists and grief counselors have said that funerals can be a way of people healing from their grief. Giving a befitting funeral to a loved one can be a process for those that are left behind, to manage their grief. Let's take, for instance, if people lose their loved ones and they do not see the body of loved ones to bury, it becomes a problem. If a family loses a loved one through maybe drowning and the person was not recovered, the body of the person was not recovered, the person's body was lost in the sea, trust me, it takes a longer period of time for the family of that loved one to heal or to get past that grief. Like they always have, at the back of their mind that their loved one is somewhere. But if they're able to retrieve the body and then they bury the person, they know that, okay, this loved one is here. They know where their loved ones were buried. It's just like a process of healing for the person. That's why some cultures, some families, they bury their loved ones in the house. They bury their loved ones in the compound. Not every culture, permits that the person should be buried in the burial ground. Some people want their loved ones to be buried very, very close to them because they feel that person is still part of them no matter what, even if the person has gone to the world beyond. But having the grave of that person around just makes them feel that this person was part of us and this person can never ever be forgotten. Let's look at what the Bible even says. In the book of Romans chapter 12 verse 15, the Bible says that rejoice with those that rejoice and mourn with those that mourn. So yes, I think it is okay for us to really mourn with those that mourn. I find it really difficult going for funerals because I hate to see people cry. When people cry, I can just start crying. So I do not even understand how people go for funerals and then they end up dancing. So Ghanaians, let me know in the comment section why you go for a funeral and then after all the crying, it doesn't take long and you guys switch to dancing. I want to understand that in the comment section. I know there is something called Bonyo party. Did I get that correctly? I don't know, but that's the party after mourning. Like if you go to a typical Ghanaian funeral, you will realize that after the dead has been buried, they come back to party. Like they party so hard. I want to understand the notion behind that. Let me know why that is. I also got to find out that the Ashantis celebrate funerals the most. Let me know in the comment section. Is that true? Is it true that the Ashantis value funeral and celebrate it the most in Ghana? Another thing I got to realize about the Ghanaian funeral system is that when a loved one passes on, there is what we call 1 week celebration. And 1 week celebration is 7 days after the person passes. Like if the person passed on Monday this week, 7 days after, they celebrate what we call 1 week celebration. Although that celebration is not like loud. Yes, they come all dressed up, family members come together. I don't really know what happens at that point in time, but one thing I researched and found out is that is when they plan for the funeral. That is when they have their first meeting as family meeting. That's basically for families though. That's when they have their family meeting as to what's the next step to take. When do they think the person can be buried? What are the plans and the preparations towards the funeral? So yeah, in Ghana, whenever someone dies, they celebrate what we call 1 week celebration. Ghanaians watching me, let me know what is also done during the 1 week celebration. Now let's talk about the attire that is being worn during funerals in Ghana. If you're new in Ghana and for any reason you are to go for a funeral, you need to watch this one. You don't just wear anything you feel like wearing. You'll be a suspect. You will be a suspect. So come, let's talk about the colors and what they connote. First off, every Saturday, if you watch closely on the streets of Accra, because that's where I stay, on the streets of Accra, you're going to be seeing mostly people wearing black. All black, or black and red, or brown and black, or all white. That means those people are either going for a funeral or they are coming back from funeral. So those are the funeral colors in Ghana: black, red, brown, white. So before you go for any funeral in Ghana, it is advisable for you to ask the family of the deceased the color for the funeral. They might tell you black, they might tell you red, they might tell you black and red, depending on the situation. So now let me tell you what I have learned about these colors. At this point, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell notification, so you always get notified whenever I upload a video. And please do well to give this video a thumbs up. This will just motivate me and tell me that this video was valuable or it was informative as much as possible. Most times, color red is being worn by very close relative of the deceased. So if you go to a funeral where you see people wearing black, and then you see some group of people putting on red, that means those people are the close relative of the deceased. So the black cloths or the black attires are being worn by distant relatives or sympathizers, like people that just came to sympathize with the family. They can wear black, but the red is mostly worn by very, very, very close relatives of the deceased. Traditionally, color white signifies victory, joy, happiness. So when you see a funeral where they are wearing white or white and black, it means that that person attained a certain age, that is age 70 and above. It is said that that person lived long, so there is no need for mourning, being sad. Of course, the loved ones will feel sad even if the person lived 200 years. People that are close to that person will also feel, they will always feel sad because they have lost a loved one. but it's also what we call celebration of life. That's why you see some posters, they write celebration of life. That is to say the person lived 70 years and above. You cannot be saying celebration of life when the person died at the age of 60, at the age of 50, at the age of 40. That person was just, they say life begins at 40, right? So that person was just starting life. So if the person passes on at that age, no, the person did not enjoy life as much as the person should, or the person did not really live life. So, but when the person is 70 years and above, that means the person has lived. So in Ghana, they wear white to celebrate such, funeral. It's just a way of saying you lived life. So we are celebrating you. Whites are also worn on Sundays. I have got to realize that because my church is a traditional church. When I mean a traditional church, it's a local church. We have lots of indigenes in the church. Yeah, so I see when people bury their loved ones on Saturday, and then on Sunday they come for Thanksgiving, thanking God for the successful burial of their loved one. So they put on white. White is either worn on Saturday when the person is above 70, and then on Sunday to celebrate, the success of the funeral. So these are the few things that I got to gather, or I got to research about Ghanaian culture when it comes to funeral. So let me know. I have some questions. I have asked some of those questions in the video, so I'll be waiting for the response in the comment section. But I have another question. I want to tell a story, and this story is going to now lead to my next question, or will I say my last question. When I newly came to Ghana, I was living at Labadi. There was this particular old man, may his soul rest in peace. I think he wasn't that old, but when I came to that vicinity, he was sick. Very, very sick. He was so lean, you could see his bones, like you could see his ribs. He was that sick, and his family members were living around him. His siblings. So he was practically living in a family house, even if they rented some of the apartments to outsiders. So outsiders had access to, those compound houses now, family members are there, and then, they've rented some of the houses to tenants. So I got to see this man. Sometimes he comes out in the morning and he'll be laying outside all through till evening, and then he goes back. I never saw, family come to him, show him love, take care of him. I never saw any of that. I always pity this man anytime I see him. He cannot talk. He's always just sitting down there watching. The family I always come visit in that compound, they were living just opposite his apartment. So he was just there. Nobody cared about him. Family members were around, like, no one comes in the morning to ensure that he eats. I don't know how they even give him the food, but he was just there. The story I heard previously before that death incident was that he was a very rich man, and then he came back. He was staying in the abroad, and then he came back to Ghana, and then something happened. He fell sick, and that was how everything vanished. All his money, went into the ailments, and that was how he got down to square zero. And that was how I saw him in that level. He was a very chubby, nice, young looking man. And then he got so sick, and then it got to that level. I was in that compound when he died. This man was so sick. I told you guys, he was so sick that he couldn't talk. But when he finally passed on, I saw the family members rally around him. They brought in a new wrapper. They opened the wrapper, surrounded him with the wrapper. This happened outside because he's always laying outside. They surrounded him with the new wrapper. I don't know what they were doing, whether they were cleaning him up and all of that. And then they took him in, called the ambulance, and then this man was taken to the morgue. his funeral poster came out, and then I was no longer in that environment when he was buried. But yeah, when I heard about his burial, how people came dancing, you know, the normal Ghanaian funeral, and it got me thinking. I started asking questions like, where was all this money when this man was really, really sick? I mean, I didn't see that man eat good food. I used to be in that compound most of the times. I didn't see that man eat good food. I didn't see family rally around that man. I did not see the show of love and all of that. There were so many stories surrounding the situation, but I started asking myself, if the person wasn't eating good food when the person was alive, why should, you know, cows and food of different varieties be served at his funerals? I'm like, is that needed? Is it that they were just waiting for him to die? I know there might be situations surrounding reasons why maybe he was left alone and all that, but I know if you've said the person should be left alone, then the person should be given, not anyhow. I'm not saying bury the person anyhow, but it shouldn't be loud. So what do you guys think? This is to Ghanaians. If you're a foreigner like me, you don't have to come into this matter and try to judge or say, hey, they do this, they do this. There is a reason to everything, and that's why this video is out, so we all learn. So if you're a foreigner like me that don't understand these things, put your head down and learn in the comment section. Okay, understand the culture in the comment section. I want to know why that value is being given to someone when the person is dead. Do you think we should value the living? I mean, that love you want to show to the dead, do you think we should give it to the living more? I mean, when the person is still alive, we should show that person that love, that compassion more. What do you guys think? I understand from this point of view that the last respect should be given to loved ones. But what about people that were not loved when they were alive, but their death is being celebrated that much? What do you have to say about that? Thank you so much, guys, for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please do well to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you haven't, turn on the bell notification so you get notified when next I upload a new video. And until we meet next time, do not forget to always smile, because you're beautiful when you do. Bye.